Hello and welcome to Cooking the Books with Heather. Today we're going to be working from Teresa Carle-Sanders' second Outlander kitchen book, and we are going to be making beans baked with bacon and onion. So we really like baked beans. These seem like they'll be a little bit different. There's no tomato sauce or anything in them, but there is sort of, cured pork and some sweet things. So we'll see what we like, but we've already done the first step, which was to cover our beans. They were dried navy beans. You can use navy or Great Northern is what she lists. You want a small white bean. So these have been soaking overnight, and this is going to take a really long time. So I'm just trying to get this going so we don't eat like really late at night. But so these have been soaking, and now you can do a quick soak on these where you boil them and then take it off and let them soak for a couple hours, but I didn't do that. She does describe it in the notes at the end. I need to drain these and then put them into an oven-proof Dutch oven or a Dutch oven or a large oven-proof pot, because this will eventually go in the oven. But let me go ahead and get these drained and we'll talk about that. So now they're in this pot and I need to cover them with water by 1 inch. So I'm going to go do that. That is covered by at least 1 inch. And we're going to boil these. We're going to bring this to a boil, cover it, reduce to a simmer, cover it, and let it cook until they're just tender, 60 to 75 minutes. You'll notice these are not flavored. There's no salt. One of the things about dried beans is if you add salt too early, they could refuse to soften. So we're just going to boil them just like this for about an hour, and we'll let you know what we do after that in just a minute. Our beans cooked for about an hour. They seem tender enough to me for this point, and we're supposed to make us kind of a sauce now. We're supposed to do it in a bowl, but I didn't want to dirty another bowl, and I already had to use this and it was too large for what I really needed. Anyway, I'm gonna do it in this measuring cup, which should be absolutely fine. So we're adding some things to some hot water. I just boiled it in the microwave. We're going to combine brown sugar. I'm going to put the brown sugar in first to let it sort of start to dissolve. I've got a little whisk. I've got some mustard powder. I'm using Coleman's because I happen to have it. Use whatever you have and like. And hopefully we'll get some of the little lumps out of it. This is molasses. She says not blackstrap. Or you can use treacle, I think she said. Anyway, you want something dark and flavorful for this. There we go. We're getting that all mixed up. The hot water will help to dissolve the sugar and mix in the molasses. And it looks like my mustard powder bits managed to go away. So that's good. No more clumps. And I think we need some pepper. I'm not going to measure it because there is a measurement. That's fine. It's not much. We can always add more later because we do add more salt, add salt later. So now I'm going to take these and put them in the sink, and we're going to drain our beans. I've got the colander in the sink to do so. So doing the pre-soak and the cook and then draining that water will help get rid of some of the things that make people have gas with beans. So anyway, now we're adding some onion. She says just chopped. I chopped mine pretty finely just because I didn't want big pieces. And then you can use bacon or salt pork. I happen to have salt pork here. I picked it up for this recipe just because I wanted to try it. It's apparently saltier than bacon, cured longer and generally, usually fattier. Mine didn't seem all that fatty. It actually had quite a bit of meat on it. It's cured longer, but it's not smoked. So if you want, you know, the smoky flavor, you can use bacon instead, whatever. And then that's chopped a little bit. And now we're supposed to sort of stick that under the beans, but then we're going to stir it anyway, so whatever. Now we're going to pour this over the beans and stir it. There you go. And now we need to add just enough water to cover our beans. So I'm just going to fill this up. I think we need probably just a little bit more. They're not quite covered. All right, that's good. We're going to need to check this about every hour to make sure that we don't need to add some more water to it. We are going to put the lid on, and we're going to put it in our oven at 250 degrees. So it's a really low oven. Until they're soft and tender, she says about 6 hours. We do need to check it occasionally. Like I said, I'm going to check it about every hour. And we can add a little extra water just to keep the beans covered if necessary. So, also make sure your rack is pretty low in your oven such that you can fit this with its lid in the oven. So mine is on the bottom rack. So, we will see you in about 6 hours. My beans have been cooking for about 5 hours. I thought it was 6, and so I started something that needs to not take that long. Anyway, I tasted them. They're certainly soft enough. And now what I'm going to do is increase the heat to 350 in the oven and put it back in with the lid off. She says for 30 minutes. This will help thicken the sauce. So that is our goal now. So we'll tell you what it looks like in about 30 minutes, or let you know how long it takes until it's, you know, a nice thick sauce in just a second. So to recap, I cooked my beans at 250 for 5 hours, not 6, and decided that they were tender enough. And then I cooked them at 350 with the lid off for 40 minutes. I decided to go an extra 10 minutes. I never did have to add any extra water during that first 5 hours. And so you can decide how thick or thin you want, but you can kind of see how thick these are. That's what I decided. The last thing we need to do is to season these a little bit more, because if you'll recall, there is no salt in here except for whatever was in the salt pork. And when I tasted them, I definitely could tell it needed some salt. So I'm going to put a couple of hearty sprinkles in there and just a little more pepper just because. And this is to taste. I'm going to put the lid back on these and just set them on the stove without any heat under it, because these will stay hot for quite a while until we're ready. It won't be that long. Anyway, that's it. We'll let you know what we think in just a second. On this episode of Cooking the Books with Heather, you watched me make beans baked with bacon and onion from Teresa Carle-Sanders' Outlander Kitchen 2 cookbook. And I thought these were good. I did make one mistake. I cooked them an hour less in the last part of the cooking in the oven than the recipe suggests. And my husband did say that they were a little underdone. I felt like the middles were done, but it was maybe the skins that felt sort of extra chewy, a little tough. I don't know if an extra hour would have completely fix that or not. I'll have to make it again and start even earlier and see. Or maybe it was just the type of beans that, you know, the navy beans. I don't know. I know when I get canned ones, they are not like that, but I guess we'll see. I liked the flavor. It probably wasn't the absolute best baked beans I've ever had, but I think we are used to a much more sweet baked bean than these are. So there was some molasses, there's a little bit of brown sugar, there's no tomato products in this at all, which, I mean, maybe I tell the truth here, I buy the Bush's baked beans and I'm perfectly happy with those most of the time. Sometimes I doctor them up a little bit, but they're perfectly acceptable in my house. But these were really good. They make a very large amount. She says 6 as a side. I would say at least 6, probably at least 6, or as a 6 as a very, very generous side. I was trying to see if she says to serve them with the heart of palm frittata, which we have not made, which would be interesting. That seems like it would be very British. They do beans with breakfast a lot, and beans with a lot of things that we don't in the United States serve beans with. Like baked beans are generally sort of a summer barbecue side, something that you have when you have burgers or pulled pork or hot dogs or anything like that. Then we have baked beans. British people tend to eat more baked beans. So I wonder if these are a more British type of baked bean than the ones we eat here. I've never tried, I think it's the Heinz in sort of a teal bluish can that are supposed to be like the ones that are, from what I can tell, ones that are available in the UK, in England. I don't think I've ever tried those. So I'll have to make a point to try those at some point and see if they are more like these than the Bush's baked beans. Anyway, I really liked it. It takes a really long time, but it's nothing particularly difficult. It's just time intensive. So if you like baked beans, you should give these a try and let me know what you think in the comments down below. And if you've enjoyed watching me make this, give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, share this with your friends, and come back and watch me make something else next week.